Okay, so in that venue, what do you see the role of visual arts in our mass mediated world, and particularly in your profession?
Well, our profession in many ways created media art as we know it. It obviously started with the evolution of television from the 50s up to now, and it's also been a huge part of films and media art began to be seen by great film directors such as Cecil B. DeMille and all those guys, with some of what we call epic films from the 50s and the 60s. But now you see how computer generated visual arts affect a lot of our films for very different reasons, from action films to science fiction films to animated films. To the point that instead of the actor or even the script sometimes, visual art is the leading role or the secondary role for entertainment as it relates to not only film, not only television, but music. One of the things that we can, whether you like him as an artist or not, can credit Michael Jackson with is eventually bringing media art, the visual art, to the music scene, to the point now, unless the artist is physically seen and all these effects are in their videos, people don't have a tendency to watch. And before he died, he was getting ready to work on one of the most major visual arts concert presentations that we had seen in history. Unfortunately, we did not get to see his vision come to fruition, but I happen to know that he was getting ready to bring visual media to the stage in a very huge way, and with his influence and platform, it's unfortunate we didn't get to see that.
Okay, the next question is, what new communications and media technologies or imagery is almost instantly available, and do you believe that this is having a positive or negative influence on your industry? And provide an example.
Well, anytime we create, man always tries to think out of the box and create something new and innovative to make something better, which that is always a positive. With that, because you have so many mass people that have access to it, there are the negatives. The positive it has been, it not only expands tell stories, but the way we tell stories. That's number one. That's a positive. Number two, it has brought people to the table outside of the big movie studios would not get a chance to get back by those big studios to come to the table because of the computer and internet technology, and can put together creative expression stories and whatever together at a much cheaper cost and still the possibility of it getting seen by the masses. Where it has hurt our industry is you have what I call legitimate creative people who are professionals in their field in the game, and then you have, frankly, wannabes who take the technology and use it, and it brings them to prominence, but technically they haven't paid the proper dues and gone through certain channels to be legitimate in their expression and what they do. So, yeah.
Can you
So
provide?
it has enhanced, and certainly it has hurt on every level in the sense of big studios. It's helped in terms of big studios not being able to control everything anymore, but it has hurt because now you have everybody at the table, and frankly, some of those people are not. You could take, for example, my issue, and it's my issue, My issue with rap music is it's not as expression or its form. It's the legitimacy it's given up against real music. Uh, Rappers, whether through technology or the internet, musically or even visually, are the main ones who can manipulate this and make millions of bucks, and they have affected a whole culture on what, and then to make the culture believe what is true art. And I believe it has its right to express itself, but it's to the point that as a musician, kids don't know the difference from a C chord, a C minor chord, or a 13th chord or 7th chord from a guy just playing one note and saying some lines over it, and they're quoting them as a great either musician or a great video artist. That is just ludicrous.
What popular images do you see that are frequently rechanneled throughout the entertainment industry?
That's a great question. Uh, what helps me with the question is the word rechanneled. So I'll start with that. When we were kids, if you know how old you are, let's start with Mickey Mouse and all the Disney supporting characters. They were all iconic for the last 80 to 80-something years. And we're able to take those iconic stories and images, including some of the great comic books we used to read, such as Superman and Batman, and we're able to retell those stories in a bigger way, even in a better way, because of the visual technology and internet technology. We're able, and so we see those images over and over again. You take the Muppets, you take the show that escapes me on PBS television, where we see the frog. I forget the frog's name. Jonathan's going to kill me. He's my son. But we get to we see these images over and over again, and they find a whole new generation. Where when we were first introduced to them, we were introduced to a little black and white television, and now they've moved to the big screen in a bigger, better way. When we think about Batman, the comic book character story has always been iconic, but who would have ever thought, especially after the Batman television series, I think the star then was Adam West, would become as large and as big and as all the visual arts that come with it play a big factor in keeping this iconic story, image, and characters so alive, even more alive today because of visual arts and the internet. It's absolutely fantastic.
That the industry is popularized and or created?
That's a great question. Nothing comes to mind quickly as much as when you see the internet has become a way. For example, let's start with the internet. Back in the day, if a superstar or a new star wanted to be out there and you constantly talked about it, you looked in the newspapers, the special Hollywood newspapers, the news columns, those type of things. Well, now we have the internet. We have blogs to where stars can keep their name in front of people for whatever reason, through emails, whether Yahoo, Gmail, the MSNs. I mean, as soon as you pop these up, the first people you're going to see are people from the entertainment industry, and they're constantly, even when they're not working, there are pictures and stories of them constantly in your face. Now, I'm not a big reality TV guy, but the Kardashians really owe their success in many ways, to my opinion, to the internet and visual media.
Who is your favorite visual artist, and what is your favorite style of visual art?
Okay, so first question, who's my favorite visual artist? And the second question again, please.
What is your favorite style of visual art?
Frankly, I don't have a favorite visual artist, only because visual artists, unless you're in their particular industry, you don't know who they are. You could be familiar with their work, but you have no clue to who they are. Now, I will, on the surface, give a lot of credence and credit to Steven Spielberg, because visual art, he and his people, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, those guys, their vision and the professional visual artists they're able to hire, whose names don't get mentioned, I mean, those would be some of my favorite. But there's people's work that I admire, I just don't know who they are. I see their work, but I don't know who they are. The second question, tell me one more time.
Well, you really answered. How has your knowledge of famous artworks influenced your creative process?
um, I think we're all culturally influenced by famous or high-profile artworks in one way or another. It at least helps us shape the old. We may come up with what's inside the old, but we all learn from other artists. We all take the blueprint and we elevate the blueprint. I think two artists, visual artists who don't get credit for being visual artists, are perfect for what I'm saying, and I'm saying Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. Bill Gates took what we commonly call the computer, which was what I call, when you're trained as an artist, they teach you the circle, to work from the circle or from a blank face. He took that and he came up with the software as we know now as Windows. Same way with Steve Jobs. He took what Bill Gates made as he elaborated on the circle, and he just took all of that, Windows, the internet, the phone, all of the modern technology, and he just rolled it into one, and the iPhones and all these smartphones is artwork, it's visual, it's not only technology, but it's also just great visual artwork in of itself. It's just a beautiful piece of art in your hand. It's just amazing.
I couldn't agree more. We're out of time because this was only supposed to be 7 minutes long, but that's all right. I'll turn it in for extra credit. I appreciate you taking this time, and I will call you later this evening. And
Okay.
we'll discuss
Anytime,
this.
bro.